Okay, let's call this special council meeting, what is the date today?
29th.
November 29th at 9 o'clock, and it's to address the short-term rental ordinance proposal. So who's going to take it? Chip, you did a nice job drafting a...
Can I ask a question before we get started? Want to know where we're at with those violations of fines for the short-term rentals. Where are we? Are we connected again?
Are we connected from?
From the city attorney's office?
Yes, we are, and they're the letters have been sent.
Saying that they're going to go on, they're going to be
Yes.
certified on taxes if
Some
they're...
of them that were delinquent have already, some of them that were in question have already been cured. And there's, I believe, 3 letters, second letters going out, and Alex is working on the new ones.
But the $1,000, that isn't negotiable. That was a fine, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so did we collect the $1,000 yet on any of them?
We did not to my knowledge, no. And Alex was not able to be here to address that today.
But
And that's not even on the agenda for today.
well, I know, but short-term rental isn't, and it is important to know that we are picking up the ball
And
finally.
I've answered that question, yes.
Yes. So we've sent out the notice saying if you don't pay by a certain date on the December meeting, we're going to assess it on your property taxes. She looks confused. Did the letter go out? But we're trying to collect it now. Is the attorney going to collect it, or is the city going to collect it? It's the city's fine. $1,000 is the city's fine. It's supposed to come to the city, not to the attorney.
The letters have been sent, no one has paid to my knowledge yet. And Alex is not here to follow up on that, and he can answer your question later.
Okay.
Didn't some people already pay, though? I mean, that pursuant, I thought some people had, not the fine, but they'd read their, licensed and followed the...
And they had paid, I believe, a county assessment as well, but that money went to the county because they filed and certified it, okay? So that's...
The county assessment? No, that's a license.
No, it was their fee that they assessed, county fee.
The letter went out saying it was the city assessing this
Two
violation.
different things. And that's what Mike is saying, that letter has gone out. We have not collected any to our
That's the city
knowledge.
attorney sent out a second letter and
Yes.
saying that we're going to assess it. Because we can't assess it without letting them know we're going to assess it.
Right, and I just answered that.
Okay.
Okay, let's stay focused here.
So let's stay on target.
How should we do this format, Chip? Can I put you on the spot and say, let's go through this thing?
That if you choose to do that, that's fine. You directed me to write a draft ordinance.
Right,
in
and it
which I
looks
did.
very good to me.
Yeah, I've read through it, and,
Remember, it's a draft.
yes, but you told me that you've actually kind of consolidated what you found, kind of in other communities that mirror our type of community.
Correct. I took some from other communities that are similar to ours. I also looked at the counties, took a lot of stuff from the counties, added in what the county adopted yesterday at their board meeting with the septic issues, and then changed a couple of verbiage regarding trailers, like camper trailers, things like that. I added those in there as well.
So that's the change in the ordinance that you gave us this
Correct.
morning.
Yes.
Is the updates from the county.
Correct.
And you changed the number of people in a room, per room,
To match the county.
right?
3
Yeah,
plus 1.
I think makes sense, and no age.
No, yeah, it's 3 plus 1.
Yeah, okay.
So I just wonder if we shouldn't go through it point by point in the event that we're prepared to make a motion to approve?
No, it's
I
a draft.
think this is a draft. Yeah, this is you really got to go through this. Like I said, I wrote it. I don't think the lawyers looked at it. I don't know if you all had a time to look at it. And
Well, I've looked at it, I got some, that's
Yeah.
why.
Okay.
we should
I
talk
have,
about it.
there's highlighted areas that I'm like, I don't know, right.
Well, if we go through it and we all, think it's fine, can't we approve it even though?
You have to have
No.
our attorney review it before you pass it.
Okay.
Okay, it has to be because you can get in too much trouble if you
But we
don't.
could refine it down to what we feel like is at least the starting point.
What we want him to review, yes, I agree with that.
Can I address an opinion of mine before we start?
Can we stop you?
Yes, you can. You can say, no, you can't.
No, of course.
My thought is to keep the licensing with the county, because they are doing their job, and maybe adopt an ordinance requiring short-term rentals to have this life safety inspection, and just have it on our books as an ordinance, and let the county still handle the licensing, and then contract out the life safety inspections, and collect. The contractor would get 80%, the city would get 20% for administering it, and I guess the police department is...
Marcia, can I interrupt? Who are
What?
you going to contract out to do a life safety inspection when you have a fire chief, fire marshal? I
Well,
don't
the fire chief is automatically a fire marshal. There's no certification or anything, is there?
Yeah,
for
there is,
fire-
but that doesn't matter. Who would you what do you mean you contract out? I don't understand that.
Someone that would do the inspections.
Well,
Well,
wouldn't we
that's
just
what
have
my
to do it?
position is.
Well, we can contract, I guess we could contract with you, but we could not put
That's
staff...
wrong verbiage
Not,
there.
not put staff on, just contract it out and do a 80-20 split. And then the police department
doesn't
could
make sense.
send out notice to all licensed short-term rentals that this is required. It can be put in the paper. We could start those January 1st this year, and the life safety would be taken care of. I think that was the big thing, was the life safety inspections, not so much the rest of it. You wanted the life safety in there. I think that was a comment from Aaron, said, that's it. You needed to have that. And you have a lodging tax, that's on the ordinance, for lodging tax to collect. Why can't we just say, in the city of Cross Lake, you have a short-term rental, you need to have a life safety inspection on file for that short-term rental license. And we don't have to go through all this other licensing. Just a thought. I'm thinking that we could enhance the short-term rental situation by the life safety inspections, because that's what everybody's concerned about, and take care of it that way versus adopting ordinance and hiring staff, and because the county is doing their job, licensing. So if our big thing is these life safety inspections, we shouldn't have a problem with just saying, requiring it, and it would fall on the police department because they would get the list of the short-term rental licenses, send out a notice that you need to have a life safety inspection or operate in the city of Cross.
Marcia, the police department doesn't do life safety inspections. That's the fire department.
I'm saying sending out notice.
Well, now you're adding more work to somebody that, I mean, that's.
Well, but that's what this is all about.
Correct.
We were going
Everything on the ordinance is online. That's where you're getting confused here. If you're going to talk about doing this life safety, but there's so many other things that the county is not doing.
So you're saying this is going to be all done online and nobody's going to look at the
Oh,
short-term
no, you'll
rentals?
look at it, but it sends
That's
you a
not
report. You
realistic.
don't have to sit there and go over every single piece of paper. I mean, that's your vision, that's your opinion, and that's the way you want to think about it, but I've looked into it a little bit further than that.
I guess I'm trying to say the county's doing their job, and if these life safety inspections is the component that is so necessary
Correct.
for the
It
city
is very
council,
necessary.
that we could do it by
But you
ordinance.
don't contract it out. You have a fire department that does inspections. That's what we do. Why would you, contract might be a wrong word for what you're using here. I'm just making that comment. Contracting is not the word that you're looking for, I don't think.
So not just you, but everybody on the fire department could chip in and do it.
The ones that are qualified, yes.
Ones that are certified.
But you appoint them. You can appoint them to do those inspections,
When they're qualified, yes.
yes.
Now, is that just
If they're qualified, there is no certification for inspections.
Yeah, there's certifications for fire marshal and for a fire, yeah, it's
Well,
code inspections. But yeah, I can
The
appoint
guy at the
anybody to do
Department of
it.
Public Safety said there wasn't.
is that just, would we just pay them the on-call pay per inspection, whatever it takes?
Just their hourly wage.
I could jump on that.
So we could do it ordinance. We could do an ordinance for life safety inspections and just be done with the licensing thing, the short-term license.
Till we get this bulletproof,
Yep.
or darn close, not where it says draft on the front of it, I could hop along with that for 24.
Okay, let's go through this thing. Chip, I would like to go through point by point, because each one of them, there's some conversation about it, and let's try to get it to the point where it's bulletproof. Let's work on it. Marcia, I respect your.
I would like to have comments from the council if they think that's an avenue that we should
I have a
look at, is just
clarification
doing it by
question.
ordinance.
I have a clarification question from the council. At our last council meeting on this topic, the meeting was organized for the purpose of deciding what direction to go. And so that direction, well, there were a couple choices. One was what we've already talked about. And so at that meeting, the council's direction was to direct staff, by Chip that volunteered to do this, to come up with an ordinance and bring it back. And that's what the purpose we're talking today. And so my clarification question is, has that direction changed?
I apologize for not being here for the complete meeting. I probably would have brought it up, but I had to leave. So I'm bringing it up now before we get way into this, before we can't decide on doing it
I'm sorry that
differently.
you had to leave, but the council did provide direction, and that's what we did.
So I'm saying what I wanted to say at that meeting if I would have been here.
Okay, and I guess my comment to that, Marcia, is I respectfully disagree with you. I think we've got a big enough, what I'm going to call an industry in this town, that I think we need to give it a little more personal touch than the county is. That's my stand on it. Therefore, that's where we're at.
I think there's some questions that we are going to answer as we go through here.
Yeah.
We'll look at this, and then we're going to get into some of the cost factors. Where do we get software from? Who gets that software? How does that function? There's a lot of intricate pieces that have to be discussed before we're done here today.
Chip,
Okay?
didn't you tell me you're having a meeting with some representatives from Vail who have that
Yeah,
website?
Later
and-
this week, I'm having a Teams meeting with the fire chief, fire marshal, short-term rental manager, planning and zoning from Vail, to tell me how they went through the process, because they just put this into place last year.
Because I thought that website looked amazing and really easy to really user-friendly. And I mean, I don't know if everyone's supposed to give their opinion, but I think ultimately we should we should do the licensing ourselves. But in talking to a number of people, we may have to wait until 2025 to implement it, but I think that we should make a commitment that that's what we're going to do. In the meantime, I think that we should definitely have our own ordinance, including life safety inspections. That's where I stand on it.
Can we go through and take a
Let's go
look at
through
what the
it,
changes are then? Can we do that?
You want to walk right through it, or
I
do you
don't
want
really
to?
wanna go
I don't
through
want to
the
go
whole
through the
thing.
whole thing again. I've seen it a
I
million
don't
times.
either, but.
All right, I'll go through it.
Just start, yeah, if you have
I'll read
questions
it.
or
Okay.
discussion where you want to bring up.
So the city
talking
is
points.
Cross Lake is authorized to exercise its power to maintain the peace, good environment, and welfare. The city is authorized to implement such reasonable regulations as it deems necessary to safeguard the public health, life, safety, and general welfare in order to protect the integrity of residential neighborhoods in which short-term rentals or vacation rentals operate. The significant growth of short-term home rentals within the city has created a need for reasonable regulation so as to protect the health, life, safety, and welfare of short-term home rental guests, as well as neighboring property and the public. A licensing system provides a reasonable regulatory approach to seek to balance the operation of short-term home rentals with the health, life, safety. Excuse me, guys. Save your opinions or comments till we start going through it. A licensing system provides a reasonable regulatory approach to seek to balance the operation of short-term home rentals with the health, life, safety, and welfare impacts upon guests, neighbors, and the public. So the purpose, short-term home rentals, and anybody stop me at any point if there's any discussion. Okay. Provide additional tourism opportunities and economic impacts, but also increased impacts on guests, neighbors, and the public. The purpose of this ordinance is to provide the city with reasonable regulatory procedures to protect the health, life safety, and welfare of short-term rental guests, neighboring residents, and the public. These regulations are further intended to protect the integrity of the neighborhoods and the waters in which short-term rentals operate.
I don't think we need to go.
I don't
through
think
all
I need to go.
that. Yeah,
Definitions.
yeah.
License required. No short-term rent,
Dave, I want to go back, Mr. Mayor. Under definitions, owner's authorization would be also known as a property manager, somebody that manages that.
Okay.
okay. License required. No short-term rental may be operated without a valid short-term rental license issued pursuant to this ordinance. License application. Any property owner desiring to undertake short-term rentals must apply to the City of Cross Lake for a short-term rental license. A license must be approved prior to the operation within the City of Cross Lake. License fee. The license application form must be accompanied by a payment in full of the required license application fee. The license application fee will be determined by the city council in a fee schedule. So I would like to just throw in $500 annual. That's just one point we'll go through.
Is it, okay. On the actual application, Chip, is there a fee applied or
Non-refundable,
attached?
yeah. Well, I don't think I've gotten to it.
That'd be out of his fees. Correct.
Okay, so I just stopped right at that point. So I'll read the whole thing again. License fee. The license application form must be accompanied by payment in full of the required license application fee. This fee shall be non-refundable. The license application fee will be determined by the city council in the city fee schedule. So at that point, I would like to just throw in $500 for now. That's one of my notes. All short-term rental licenses are an annual license and must be renewed each year. License renewal applications for rental operations in the following year must be submitted prior to any rental activity. Licenses are valid from January 1 to December 31st each year. Now, I got a comment about that, and it's only because December 31st comes right after the holiday season and wrapping up the year. I would kind of like to talk about maybe have it March 1st to March 1st, because then staff has got January, February, a little slower time to catch up on stuff. Anybody have any opinions on that?
That's not a slow time for staff.
It's what?
Not a slow time.
It's really not a
I
slow
think
time
we
for
should,
staff.
I think we should keep it calendar year if you're going to do it.
December 30th, okay. An affidavit signed by the owner of the, or the owner's agent, property manager, under penalty of perjury certifying that the short-term rental is in habitable condition and complies with health and safety standards set chapter. Okay, next C, owner's authorized agent, property manager. Each application shall include the appointment of a natural person who shall remain within a 60-minute distance of the short-term rental and is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to serve as the owner's authorized agent, property manager for the short-term rental, at least 5 days. Oh, if you're going to change the man, okay. So if you're going to change that designation, you got to do it 5 days prior to any change of such appointment. The SDR owner or owner's authorized agent shall notify the city of Cross Lake of such change, including new contact information. So my comment to that is 60 minutes necessary, or could we make it 30 minutes?
You can choose whatever you want.
I mean, if you've got an event happening and you want somebody to come out and do something about it, I would just assume it'd be 30 minutes.
That's a police chief, because you're gonna have a police officer sitting there. And do you want him sitting there for 60 minutes or 30?
Can I interrupt here? To clarify this, as you read on,
Yeah.
all the responsibility goes on the property manager. So with all the phone numbers and contacts and the notifications to the neighbors and everybody else, the first person they're calling is the property manager.
So the complaint
Not
doesn't go to the police, yeah.
Once
Not-
they
not
can't get
necessarily.
through to the property manager, and the property manager doesn't respond and come and take care of anything, then you call the police, and that's a violation.
Right.
That-
Thank you.
30 minutes is starting to get a little, might be hard for some of these.
660 is very common throughout the
I
country.
just wanted to hear input.
Yeah, I think that's pretty.
Okay.
I could say that I think it's reasonable unless I'm the guy next door watching the activity, then it's a long time.
It's not that we won't, it's not that we won't be there to be able to do something like this. Like Chip said, it goes to the property manager first.
Okay, I still dispute that, but we'll move forward. Floor plan of STR. Parking locations must be submitted with initial license application. So there is a site plan, parking plan. All owners or owner's agent must inform all properties within 300 feet of the short-term rental. When a property owner applies for a new license or a license renewal, they will need to provide an affidavit with the application indicating that they have notified the neighbors. The notice required shall be in writing and include the following information: the vacation rental license number, the physical address of the STR, and the name, address, and 24-hour telephone number of the emergency point of contact.
So Chip, if this isn't done, then that's also a violation? Okay,
Well, they wouldn't get their license,
right.
yeah.
Expiration renewal. Each SDR license shall expire on December 31st of each calendar year, or when title of the SDR transfers to new ownership, whichever occurs first. Each change in ownership of a short-term rental shall require a new license. Okay. Timing. An initial license application shall be filed at least 30 days prior to any advertising of a short-term rental. A renewal application shall be filed by November 30th of the year in which the license expires. So 30 days ahead of time is kind of what you're shooting for. Revocation. In addition to any other penalties allowed by this chapter, the City of Cross Lake may revoke any STR license if the City of Cross Lake finds and determines that any violation of this chapter exists at the STR, provided that the City of Cross Lake provides the license with at least 14 days prior written notice and an opportunity to be heard prior to revocation. The notice shall include a description of the violation and the date and time when the STR owner may appear and be heard. And the notice shall be either personally served on the STR owner or mailed by first-class United States mail to the last known address of the DTR, owner or owner's agent. Okay, insurance, do we want to read through that? Every short-term home rental shall be continuously insured with minimum limits of $1 million. The insurance may be in any of the following forms: property liability insurance, commercial liability insurance, or endorsement to the homeowner's policy for coverage of the STR activities. Insurance provided by online STR platforms does not qualify as valid insurance under this subsection.
And they'll have to submit an affidavit for that they have the insurance.
Is
So
that
Chip-
included in the application?
Next, health and safety standards inspections. Each STR shall comply with all of the following standards at a minimum and at all times while STR is occupied. Buildings, structures, or rooms shall not be used for purposes other than those for which they were designed and intended. The overnight
Hey, Dave,
occupancy.
excuse me.
Go ahead.
Just kind of back up, I meant to interject on that insurance one.
Yep.
Chip, you added that they need to have an affidavit for that. Should that be written into the, you got notes for it? Okay.
This is a sample, it's in their packet, yeah.
I didn't know if it should be mentioned in this actual section of the ordinance.
Yeah, it's part of the application process.
Okay, next, the overnight occupancy of an STR shall be limited to no more than 3 people per bedroom plus one. One additional person per unit. And I thought that was 2 people per bedroom, no? The county is 3? And that's where we want to keep it?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, roofs, floors, walls, foundations, ceilings, stairs, handrails and guardrails, porches, decks, and all other structural components and all appurtenances thereto shall be capable of resisting any and all forces and loads to which they may be normally subjected, and shall be kept in sound condition and in good repair. Number 4, an operable toilet, sink, and either a bathtub or shower shall be located within the same building. And every room containing a toilet or bathtub shower shall be completely enclosed by walls, doors, or windows that will afford sufficient privacy. So that's getting off of the garage.
Can I go back to 3? Aren't we under the, when you start doing structural inspections and stuff, you need to be a certified building inspector?
We're not inspecting, they just have to be in, you're trying to eliminate a shack. That's not somebody's,
But this is stating we're going to be responsible for the structure. I think you need a certified building inspector for that.
Why don't you asterisk number 3 and have the city attorney review that so we get an opinion on it?
Make sure we're not liable. Yeah.
Yeah, would that help?
Okay, number 4, operable toilets, we covered that. Number 5, there shall be a sufficient number of trash receptacles to accommodate all trash generated by the occupants. So Chip, is that the only mention of trash there?
That's not on mine. Where is that?
are you reading the old one or
number
the new one?
5.
Are you reading the old one or the new one?
Well, I probably am reading the old one. That's where my notes were. You took that out?
It's added in later in the,
Okay. Should I switch over?
it's moved down to septic and solid waste.
Okay. Electrical panels shall be clearly labeled, number 5. Number 6, all vehicles shall be parked in designated parking areas, and the parking is prohibited in any landscape area. Improved surface areas on the site shall be sufficient to enable a car for every 3 occupants to park.
The question I've got is, I believe our ordinance says 4 per vehicle for parking. So I think that needs to be reviewed, if that 3, or it should be 3 or 4 by the city attorney. Okay?
Okay. Number 7, noise, loud music, outdoor activities, or any other source of noise that can be heard beyond the perimeter of the STR premises shall not be generated during the hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. the following day.
Jake,
And that's 7 days
Jake, what
a week.
is our ordinance, do you know? It is, okay.
And that's 7 days a week? Number 8, a sign in a form approved by the city of Cross Lake shall be conspicuously posted inside each short-term rental with the license number, the owner's authorized agent, property manager, contact info, and the physical address of the STR, including unit number if applicable.
So do we need a sign if we have this fancy software that the person can just click on and get the property manager's phone number? Why do we need a sign out there? I wouldn't care for a sign.
Marcia, everybody cannot just click on and get the information. This is inside, but we're going outside now, which I appreciate. I think it should be identified. A second sign in a form approved by the city of Cross Lake shall be posted in a location so as to be visible from the exterior of the STR by passerbys, stating that the property contains an STR and providing the owner's authorized agent, current contact information, and the city of Cross Lake numbers for complaints.
It's highlighted because I didn't know where we were going to go with that.
Okay, but the contact for the, yeah,
I don't know if there should be a number for the city of Cross Lake because.
They call it a hotline.
I think,
Jake's cell phone number?
Yeah,
That's a marketing thing too, so if I'm driving by the house and I see it's an Airbnb or short-term rental,
yeah,
it's a marketing thing, it's
Yeah.
actually a positive.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep that highlighted, Chip, that's
well, I
number,
just scratched it.
Yeah, I don't think we should have
Scratch it?
the city of Cross
Okay.
Lakes number on there.
Jake, did you have something else to add to that?
Was there a different section? I'm sorry, was there another section in here how they're gonna address the, okay, we'll wait till we get there then.
Okay, number 10, if the STR is located on waterfront property, a third sign in a form approved by the city of Cross Lake shall be posted in locations so as to be visible from the lake or waterfront of the STR by passerbys, stating that the property contains an STR and providing the owner's authorized agent current contact info.
And then should we scratch off the, again?
Hold on there on both of those. You may want a phone number that they can leave a message. Okay, and it's just strictly a message where somebody picks up the next business day, like the county does.
I just think it's
So
creating
don't-
more
Don't
work.
scratch it out until we know if we need something like that or not. If not, they're just going to call 911 and ask for police response.
Right.
That's why you have the property manager's contact number on there.
Yeah.
Well, that would be acceptable, yeah.
And if the property manager doesn't respond, it's a violation.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is get everybody to play by the same rules.
We're trying to get the burden off of the
Make it
city
as less
staff.
painful
Yeah.
as we can.
I don't think you guys are gonna have any problem with it. Nothing's really gonna change.
I thought I hit it. Nothing's really gonna change. By having these ordinances, it's not gonna change what we've done in the past. People are still gonna call us and we're still gonna go out there. And
But
when-
at least if there's a number posted, you know, an alternate number
Right.
posted.
And Dave, when you had concerns about 60-minute response time from a manager, it's really not gonna change anything. Because if people call us, we're still gonna go there and deal with the matter. But the manager needs to be available for other issues. But I don't think we're gonna really see
Per our
any change.
instructions here, they are to call the,
Right, but that's not always gonna happen. I think if somebody's being loud, they're gonna call.
okay.
Well, I think it's
We're
more of
asking them to
the
call
neighbors around the house that, you know, that we seem to, don't like the short-term rental. They have to call the property manager to take care of it first.
The
Because they
noise,
will if
the
they
noise
serve the
complaints
notice.
and the fireworks and the parties, I don't think they're gonna be calling the property manager saying, hey, they're having a party here, you need to shut down. Some might, but I
Yeah.
still think they're gonna be calling us, and nothing's gonna change.
You have to remember, we have a lot of people that have family cabins up here, but a lot of people that come every weekend, so it's no different than
Right.
Right.
daily life up here.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see much change.
Okay, next, inspections. When required, each SDR shall obtain a fire and life safety inspection as a condition of license and issuance, and every 3 years thereafter. Request for inspection shall be made to the Cross Lake Fire Department at least 60 days prior to the date of the initial license application, and at least 60 days prior to the end of each subsequent 3-year period.
Wait, they have to have an inspection 60 days prior to the application?
To schedule, yeah.
To schedule it.
So how will they know that before they get into the website to do their application?
They just have to schedule it. Keep reading.
Okay.
Can we make it 5 years? Unless there's a change to the licensing.
Oh, I see.
I kind of like the 3 years because then that coincides with the septic inspections. And if, when they have to have their septic inspection, they can schedule the other one at the same time. So, helps them remember. I understand.
So how about a fee for that inspection, Chip? There is nothing mentioned in here, correct?
Well, if I have to go back, you can keep reading, but you can skip B because that was something that we were talking about implementing later in this year. You know, starting the ordinance later in the year. We can't do that with the county right now, so.
Okay.
Okay, but when do we mention, are we gonna have a
Next
fee?
page, next page.
Next page, okay. Items inspected. The following will be inspected by the Cross Lake Fire Department for life safety compliance. A, fire extinguishers. B, adequacy of egress. C, posted egress plan. D, carbon monoxide detectors. E, smoke alarms. F, improvised electrical conditions and use of extension cords. G, use of portable heating appliances and outdoor heating appliances. And H, conspicuous posting of the physical address of the short-term rental. I, reinspection. If an inspection reveals that the STR is not compliant with this chapter, a reinspection shall be required and an additional $50 fee per visit will be charged. Reinspection must be scheduled in advance and may take up to 30 days to complete.
So the initial inspection should be covered by the license fee. When they go and register or apply for their license, there's a life safety checklist for them to go through so they can do it prior to the inspection. So if they say they do the checklist, I go out there and the checklist is not correct and they didn't complete their life safety, then if I have to come back to make sure it was fixed, then you charge the $50.
I think your time is worth more than $50. I think it should be
Whatever.
$100.
That's your decision.
I mean, if they've said they've got it completed, you've gone out there and checked, and you have to go back, I don't know. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but
I agree.
So is that every 3 years, then you gotta go back and re-inspect?
Correct. But you're charging a license fee every year.
So the re-inspection doesn't get charged, but if you have to go back and re-inspect the re-inspection.
The initial
then
inspection, then every 3 years, you do not.
Do not.
But if you have to go back on this, in the same year to re-inspect because of a failure, then you go back and you charge them your, whatever your fee is that designated, 150, whatever it is.
Okay, well, I'll agree with you guys, $100. If you guys, okay. Septic, solid waste.
And this is exactly how the county reads, this whole section.
The STR must be connected to an approved SSTS or served by the central sanitary sewer system. So that's hooked up to the city sewer. It doesn't say or. Shouldn't it say or?
it says or.
Or served by central sanitary.
Or served by the central.
Okay, so that's the private sewer system. A valid certificate of compliance, which is a certificate that was issued on a new septic system installed within the past 5 years, or a copy of a compliance inspection form which was performed within the past 3 years. So I have a bit of an issue with that, because to be compliant, you can have a 30-year-old system. And as long as it's working on the day of inspection, it's good. Is Peter in here? Is that not true, Peter?
That's absolutely true, and I'm glad you bring that point up, because looking at this language here, the 5 and the 3 years is for your typical residential septic system, which is a household, not a VRBO. And talking to many septic professionals and issuing permits over the years, the VRBOs just absolutely slam their septic systems. So that's you're exactly right. Like if there's a 5-year, there could be like a 5-year no look back. I mean, the thing could be failing on the 4th of July. So any recommendations I would have on this would be to require that water meter to be required on all septic systems, just not the holding tanks. And then also allow the city at any time to require a certificate of compliance, because I've fought with VRBO owners before in prior employment at other places, and their septic system fails over the weekend. You show up and you can see it was failing, but it's not at the moment. And they're like, hey, I got a certificate of compliance, we're good to go. And it's like, well, the thing was running into the lake all weekend long. So it would be nice to see the water meters required on all of them. Crow Wing County has failed to do that with theirs, and they face significant challenges because they do not do that.
Basically all of it.
And then just that the city requires a certificate at any time. So.
Well, my feeling about it is that if they're renting these out, they should have a new system in there, the compliance inspection. It should be a new conforming current system.
Okay, Yeah, I agree with that, but who would be watching the water meter? Would that be connected to Public Works? So they monitor the water flowage at each of those addresses?
You could put it back on the STR manager that they have to have those records at all times. And then if, say, Chip or whomever gets a complaint on that, we can pull their file and say, hey, you got to show us your septic records and show us your pumping requirement or your water usage. And then,
Okay, then I've got a secondary question for Pat. What was our highest reading this year, this calendar year, daily flow?
Down the plant was right around 125,000.
125,000, we're licensed for 150, so
Yes.
we're not that far off it, are we?
No, we're tapping on the door.
Okay. Thank you.
So just talking about the septics, I think it should be a current new system to support that. We limit the number of overnight guests in these houses, but we don't restrict the daytime use. And, these things could be flooded out anytime. They're gonna get used.
Aren't the septic system designed for the amount of bedrooms that you have in the house, and it should be function day and night? So
They should, but we're not restricting the daytime use of the STR, only the nighttime sleeping. So if you've got 8 people staying at a place, you could have 24 people during the daytime there. Going out to dinner, everybody jumps in the shower, everybody, whatever.
that's the case for every house up here on
Well,
weekend.
it is, but this is a different, this is more of a commercial use. I think we can do this, I mean, holding tanks to me are just crazy to allow them on something like this. So that's my feeling. How do you guys feel about it?
I agree, no holding tanks, I agree with that, but it's,
Aaron, I know, Peter,
yeah.
people call for a compliance inspection on a sewer.
Yep.
It could be a tank, a 1,200 or 1,000-gallon tank with a drain field that's out in the woods that you can't even find it.
yeah.
It was installed 28 years ago. They go out to do the inspection, it is working today,
No,
and that's the inspection.
Yeah.
But a lot of these, before short-term rentals, were used by 1 or 2 people, and, now they've converted that or sold it, now it's an operation. That system is never gonna handle it. So how do we police that? We're just begging for.
Can you write this
I don't
then?
have an answer on that.
Can you write this section?
I can put a little additions in there. I think that'll help out
Change
quite a
that
bit.
area?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay,
Now,
so-
if a system's 5 years old, I think that's okay. But something that's 30 years old that would be compliant on a test today, I don't think should be okay.
Yeah, and I think that water meter reading can really nip this in the bud big time, just because it puts how much water is coming in that system, and it's just, that's it. And that's the biggest thing we hear on the VRBOs and like the permit replacements that I see on septic systems. We see a ton of add-on to drain fields, and they're all VRBOs, and the people aren't adding on to it because the regulations are, they're adding on to it because the system's failing, within their licensing timeframe with the county.
So are we gonna start this operation with those minimal guidelines?
I think from staff, I would highly recommend that water meters required so that anytime there's a question on that septic system, we could pull those numbers and they say, hey, we got a 6-bedroom septic system, and we could say, your water usage, we're seeing a 10-bedroom usage here. And that
Can we
answers.
tighten up the standards on the compliance inspection for an STR?
3 years is for your typical residential system. I don't think it would be out of the ordinary to ask for compliance every single year.
Peter, I got a system that I just had inspected and it was fine. And it was because of my permitting thing that I just went through.
Right.
I personally know that system is not gonna handle 6 or 8 people a day in it. I just know it's not. It was put in 23 years ago and it's got a single tank, it's not gonna do it. But it's fine. And those are the kind of systems that if you're gonna rent a place out, I think and if you're back in the woods, it's one thing. If it spills over, it's back in the woods. But when you're on the lake and it's a downhill slope to the water and it spills over for the weekend, then you're in the lake, and I don't know.
So Are you looking at having them put in some form of a commercial system?
No,
with these,
but
if it's
today's-
over a certain age?
Right, it used to be a 1,000-gallon tank. Now it's 2,500 three-compartment tank with pumps. So the system, the demands today are different than they were. And I just think if they're going to run a business out of it, which is what I consider it,
Yeah.
they should be upgrading those. That's a critical issue with this, you know?
Can we
I-
just say, after a certain age of a system, it has to be, you know, I don't know, have a new inspection or?
I'm kind of same here.
I don't know what's about.
I get your point here, but I mean, once again, we could always boil down everything to, well, you know, that same thing happens at any other house that's not a VRBO or a short-term rental here too. So are we going to make them put in water deals? I mean, I get your point that they're
This is
running it like a
different.
business.
It's different than a residential, and we should treat it differently, I think.
Yeah, in effect, but I mean, on the 4th of July, all the residential places on my lake, their families come up and they jam pack them full of people, so.
But the other 46 weeks of the year, there's a recovery period, typically, not all of them. Okay, well, that's my feeling on it. If you don't want to do anything with it, that's,
You're looking at a rewrite of this section.
Yeah, I think
to
Pete's going to take
get
a look
there.
at it, and Pete's
Peter,
going
you're
to look
going
at
to
it.
try to clean it up a little and?
Yeah, I think we can make a few minor adjustments and it'll work out very nice.
Okay,
Until we see it, let's move on.
yeah.
okay, so then, every 3 years, an updated certificate of septic. Disposal of solid waste must comply with Crow Wing County Solid Waste Ordinance or its successor or replacement. That's kind of up to the pumper, right? Garbage, refuse, or recycling shall be stored completely enclosed within designated refuse containers. The owner or owner's agent of the STR shall provide sufficient trash storage containers in service to accommodate the demands of the occupants. So this goes back to a regular resident or a short-term rental. What I have witnessed is the short-term rentals leave with their garbage can, one or two of them at the curb, with garbage piled up all around it and on top of it. Well, all week. So, but this goes back to the residents too, because they will do that and they'll leave the cans sit on the road all week. Nobody pulls them in. Now, I think the short-term rentals, for sure, should bring those cans in and get them off the road. I think that's a problem. Look at the snow plowing guys, you know, or whatever.
Well, that can be,
God, I plowed a guy's road the other day and he had a bunch of garbage out there and I didn't see it. I hit it and he had 3 boxes of wine bottles and whiskey bottles that were totally under the snow. So I broke them and splat. Last year.
Oh. The other problem we ran in,
But I mean, how irritating is that?
another problem we've ran into, that we get calls on is, depending on when the people are there, you know, garbage pickup, I think all around town is on Monday for most people are with Waste Partners, I believe. But, if it's not picked up on Monday, then that garbage, and say the people leave in the middle of the week, which has happened, that garbage sits out there all week, and then the bears get into it, and it gets scattered all around, and then you're trying to find the person to call, so this is where that property manager is gonna come in handy. We've had that quite a bit.
could we add a note that, you know, garbage, you know, garbage or cans cannot remain out more than one day, and, you know, property manager is responsible for making sure that that's not the case?
You can do whatever you want.
I think we should do something with that though. If garbage pickup is Monday morning, the garbage can should be put out Sunday night, late. Hope the bears don't get it. Brought back up the driveway Monday afternoon.
Can we just add that at the end of this last line?
Leave and come back.
The STR, the manager of the STR shall provide sufficient trash storage containers and service to accommodate the demand of the occupants and is responsible for, you know,
I-
ensuring that cans are returned or
I
removed
just,
from the street.
I wrote a letter, I wrote a sentence, garbage cans must be removed from roadside pickup within 2 days of scheduled trash pickup, something like that.
So, and that's the operator. They're here. They're an hour away or 30 minutes away.
I have neighbors that leave way early and their garbage sits out there for 4 days and the bear gets it and it spreads all over the place. So it's not just short-term rentals.
No, I know, and, we should maybe look
It's
at
a
that
problem.
too, but
Make it a city ordinance.
this is one that we can do, just a city ordinance, yeah. Okay, advertising. Advertising for an STR shall include the STR license number immediately following the description of the STR. Licensee shall not advertise the STR as available to more guests than the occupancy limit identified on the license.
Who's watching that?
The advertising, that's what I'm worried about.
Because somebody's going to have to, weekly or something, go in and watch that and monitor what's being advertised, what isn't. A lot
In
of
the event
STRs
it
aren't.
comes to our attention that they're advertising for more than is allowed, then the fine can come into play.
But who's watching it? That's my question.
Probably the neighbors, hopefully the neighbors.
No.
How do you have some?
Jackson?
I'm gonna say at Stearns County, if they get a complaint that someone is advertising either parking or size complaints or
Yeah.
you're not actually licensed, then they actually go. So like Stearns County investigates it after something.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a complaint, but then we'll deal with it, and then there is a penalty that we can impose.
Okay.
Taxes, Minnesota sales tax under Minnesota statute section 297A.61. Short-term rental facilities must charge sales tax on lodging if the rental is less than 30 days. Why do we really, why are we gonna put that in ours? That's a state deal, right?
Right, we want to make everybody comply as we work down here for the,
Yeah, the lodging tax, I agree. Short-term rentals that are rented for 30 days or more, if there is no enforceable written agreement that requires the customer to give prior notice of their intention to terminate the lease. I don't know what that is. Whitefish Area Lodging Association tax. The properties in the city of Cross Lake who rent short-term home rentals are required by law to collect 1% lodging tax. And then the tax is collected at the time of each guest pays a short-term.
I gather that's a fairly old ordinance, and it should probably be reviewed by our city attorney.
Why?
Compliance, make sure we're in compliance with today's standards and laws.
You think it should be a higher percent, or?
That it's in compliance, nothing other than that.
That's really not our tax, that's the Whitefish Area.
Well, but we're collecting it, we're demanding it be collected, so. Okay, it's our ordinance,
Yeah.
so we should have that ordinance reviewed for, make sure it's compliant, that's all.
Do you have anything to add to that? Brad has looked at this ordinance, correct?
He has not.
He has not looked at our short-term or lodging tax ordinance?
Well, our lodging tax, he has.
That's what we're talking about.
Right, the lodging tax is 1%, and there's an agreement between Cross Lake and Ideal Township. Ideal Township's the collecting agent for it, and it's 1%. We can't change that. So if you rent a room, it's lodging tax, it gets paid directly to Ideal, and then they administer that. The other thing is, I believe there's also 0.5% county sales tax too. So if we're going to say taxes, we should mention all of them.
Why
here.
does Ideal get the 1%
Ideal
lodging
does
tax?
not get it. They're the administrative agent, they're the administering agent for Whitefish Area
Okay.
lodging.
I think that's really reasonable. I
Yeah.
rent a lot of VRBOs, and
Right,
Lodging
the hotels
tax is
pay it,
usually
the
more, yeah.
hotels pay it.
Yeah.
We've had compliance issues in the past that we've worked through our attorney to collect on. But Ideal does a great job of administering that.
okay, great.
Tim, I can't help but want to ask you, is there anything, you are part of the group that gets that 1% tax, right, for your marketing? What does the city need to do? We just need to tell them you got to pay it, right?
That's correct. So we have an agreement.
And we will have a list of people.
That's what this
Yeah.
just says.
Yeah. But we don't really have an obligation here other than to make it part of the rule.
Right.
We have an ordinance.
Well, we've had the ordinance for years, though, and we've never done anything with it. I believe that's true, right? That they have to pay it.
Well, we have done things with it. We've had complaints where certain people haven't complied, and we've notified them, and they've complied.
Okay, all right.
So it is
That's
being
good.
administered.
Okay. Next, initial complaints. Initial complaints concerning an STR property shall be directed to the owner's authorized agent. The owner's authorized agent shall resolve the issue that was the subject of the complaint within 60 minutes, including visiting the site if necessary. Resolve the issue within 60 minutes, okay?
So is that the first complaint? In the first violation?
Every complaint.
So that is not a violation if we're not told about it, is that true?
It is not a violation, it's a complaint.
Yeah. It's not a violation that we can charge for if they take care of it. It's when they don't take care of it that we get involved. Next, violation and penalty. Violation, it is unlawful to violate any provision of this chapter. Each day of the violation shall be deemed a separate offense. Yeah, that is. It is unlawful for any party to offer to rent a short-term home rental or to operate the short-term home rental without a city license. That's one offense.
Just a quick question, how are we going to limit that? Who's going to enforce that? Who's going to go out there and, you know what I mean? That's a tough one to, I'm sure we all up here know several people who now after several years have made connections with some of these people that they've rented their homes to for summers past and times past. And they do it on a cash by cash or cash basis.
Jackson, this isn't gonna be a totally bulletproof thing. We're just trying to start it. There's gonna be holes.
I know, it's a valid question.
We're trying to get, so everybody plays by the same rules. If somebody gets caught doing that, they're gonna have a $1,500 fine.
We're not gonna catch everyone.
Yeah.
And we're not
That's-
here to be the Gestapo either. It's just,
I was speeding through town the other day and you didn't
I didn't
catch
catch
me.
him.
I mean, you know,
So-
it's just, it's not,
It's about having something that we can enforce.
gonna
if-
do
if it's-
something and
If
start.
it's brought up.
okay, where am I here?
C.
Each
Liability.
short-term home rental owner shall be liable for any and all violations occurring at the STR. The owner's authorized agent shall be jointly and severally liable for any and all violations occurring at any of the professionally managed STRs in the city of Cross Lake. Does professionally mean anything there? What if it's not professionally managed?
I can remove that and just put property manager.
Or we could require it to be professionally managed. Right, we could
Most
go
property
either way.
managers are professionally, they're.
No, but if
they're-
I'm renting my house out, I'm not a professional, okay?
But you are the owner.
Okay. But you're still liable, okay. Civil enforcement. If the city of Cross Lake chooses a civil enforcement, a citation may be served by posting on the front door of the STR or by personal service on the STR owner or owner's agent, or by mailing certified first-class U.S. mail to the last known address of the STR owner. Next, civil violation shall be subject to the following fines and penalties. Now, he's got this highlighted, so this is for discussion. First violation in any 12 months, $1,500. Second violation in any of the same 12 months, $3,000. Third violation of any of the same 12 months, $5,000. And a 3-year license suspension.
Okay, it doesn't say same 12 months, it says in any 12 months, which means they could get the first violation in February, second violation wouldn't come till July, but the third violation might not come till the following January, okay? So you're into a different calendar year. You still have 3 violations within one 12-month period.
So we should
And that's
be-
how this is written, as
We should be tying that something to the licensed period.
No, I disagree. I think the 12 months, I like the 12 months because they can end up with these violations, and all of a sudden, they're one that should be suspended in January. And in fact, it's a brand-new year, so it reverts back to a first violation.
So the 12-month period starts with the first violation.
First violation, and if that one falls off, then the second violation becomes the first. You see what I'm getting at?
So you like the way it's stated?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. How about losing the thing for 3 years? That seems a little extreme to me. I'd probably like to see that a year.
I think that's fair.
Any other feelings on that?
I mean, I agree.
I mean, if somebody's got a house set up to rent and they lose that privilege for a year, it's gonna kill them. If they lose it for 3 years, it's gonna kill their kids.
They should
too.
manage their clientele a little bit better.
Well, I agree with that. But so how do you feel about the 3 year, 1 year?
Can we compromise and make it 2?
I don't have a problem. Leave it at 3.
I'm fine with that.
That's one of those that can be refined as time goes on.
Okay.
Jake and Chip have both made comments that they don't see it being a problem. And let's wait and see if it is a problem before we worry about changing it.
Okay. All penalties shall be paid within 14 days of the date of citation. If the civil violation is paid, there shall be no opportunity to challenge or otherwise appeal the violation. If the STR owner disputes the violation, the STR owner shall file a written protest with the city of Cross Lake within 14 days of the citation. Number 4, if the STR protests the citation, the city of Cross Lake shall cancel the citation and proceed to criminal enforcement. Number 5, if the penalty is not timely paid and no protest is timely filed, the city of Cross Lake may summarily suspend the STR license until the penalty is paid in full. So if we did suspend a license until it's paid in full and they had a rental after that, that's gonna be another violation. So, I mean, we just wanna be as clear as we can be with this, that
So who do they appeal to if they're saying they don't think the violation is accurate?
they'd probably start with the city council, or they start with, you
I
know.
think that should be spelled out.
It says
Who
to
do they
file a
appeal
written
to?
protest with the city of Cross Lake.
Yeah, that doesn't, do you want to put city council? It could go,
No,
well, I know, but the staff doesn't have the authority to, are we giving the staff the authority to say, yeah,
Well,
you're good to
Staff
go?
would receive it
Yeah.
and then bring it to the council.
Yeah.
It's not clear, it just says City of Cross Lake. So I'm just saying,
Why don't you highlight that and have the city attorney review it, because I think Marcia has a point there. Okay?
Where was I?
it's number, well, it's under number 3, D3.
Yeah. D3.
Okay, that's good with that?
What did
D4?
you want me to change that to? Because that one I took from about 10
We
10
want
ordinances.
the
and
city
they're all the
attorney
same.
to weigh in on that one.
Yeah, maybe just get an opinion or something, or, yeah, I think it's fine. I think if it goes to the city, anything is gonna go to the city, and
He's
then
going
the
to have
city's
to
gonna figure out what to
review
do
this
with it.
whole thing.
Just like everything
So
else.
it's just part of it. Okay.
Okay, number 4, if the STR protests the citation, the city of Cross Lake shall cancel the citation and proceed to criminal enforcement. I think I said that.
What kind of criminal enforcement? I'm just kind of, I mean, what does that mean?
We'll let the lawyer look at that, because this is, basically, these I took from all the ones that I've looked
Okay.
Yeah,
at. So
why don't
basically,
just
everybody
have
wrote
the-
the same thing.
Have the attorney look at that whole group. and-
My concern with that is, I'm sitting on my 3rd violation, and I have that canceled and go to criminal violation. Does that 3rd violation now gone because it's a criminal complaint? So I
They
have
say.
concerns in that
It
direction
says
with it.
that city of Cross Lake shall cancel the citation and proceed to criminal.
So
Yeah.
it's eliminated that violation, city, civil violation. Correct.
I don't know where, just anywhere in there where it would be criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm concerned about. how it reads.
Okay, E.
Let's take a look at D. E, suspension, regardless of the type of enforcement, the third violation in any 12-month period for a single STR, regardless of ownership of the STR, shall result in a 3-year suspension, commencing on the date of the last violation, during which no license shall be granted for such STR, short-term rental.
Chip, that's, it says commending, it should be commencing.
F, failure to license unless otherwise provided, any person who shall commence or continue to operate a short-term rental for which a license is required without first procuring the license shall be deemed guilty of an infraction and subject to a fine of $1,500 for the first, 3 for the second, and 5 for the third. A separate offense shall be deemed committed on each day during or on which the violation occurs or continues. So a separate offense, but we don't know what that separate offense is that true?
Like I said, I will have the attorney look at this because this is exactly how everybody else writes theirs.
Okay.
Okay.
Advertisement of STR, an advertisement or communication promoting the availability of an STR property in violation of this code is prima facie evidence of a violation and shall be fined in section F. So if we find somebody on Bonnie Lakes Road advertising a rental and we don't have a license for them, they're guilty.
Right.
H, intentional false reporting of a violation. The intentional false reporting of a STR violation of this ordinance shall be considered a violation of this ordinance. The penalty for intentional false reporting of the violation will be $250 for the first offense, $500 for the second, and $1,000 for the third. Okay?
And this is written, Chip, in conjunction, this is how that's written in others?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wants to be a pain.
Okay, okay. But who are they filing that with, the police department? Okay, okay.
Okay, I'm just going to open it up for any public comment. Does anybody have anything to comment on this? Come on, Pam.
Pam Graves, Sugarloaf Road, Cross Lake. Just simple things. I love the idea of a signage because if you wonder if a big party's going on, is it just their friends or is it a rental that you're now going to see? The question I have is who is going to be responsible for creating the signage that's out there at the front of the driveway? Is that provided at the time that you apply for the license, or is that up to the property manager or owner to have a variety of different signs posted that
I think
may
they
not
should be
last?
uniform signed, so you can identify them.
Right, and that'll be set in place once everything else is put in place, parameters of the sign.
Yeah, because I think sometimes the timing of those signages, I remember some with the stop signs and whatnot, so there's a delay in getting some of those, but just the process of.
Yeah, my thought is to have them, if they have, some houses have really nice post office boxes, things like that, just put parameters of the size and the letter size, and then they can create their own. And that'll be another discussion.
I just almost wonder if we should go, 5 feet behind the existing fire number or something. It should be uniform.
It should, whatever
I like the
y'all think.
uniform.
But so we'll have to discuss that, Pam.
Thank you.
Okay, Cheryl?
So I just got a few things. We'll start with the sign. Yeah, I've been here 10 years, and most people don't like signs. It's only the businesses that like signs. We get complaints left and right for people who are running for election all over. So now you're giving them free marketing and giving them the ability to put signs all over. I'm sorry, but if it's in my neighborhood, I wouldn't want those signs all over the place.
We'll figure that out through the figuring out
And
the sign.
I get it's a double edge. Who really wants the signs, but then you want them to be able to know who to notify. But again, okay.
You want identification of property. that's
And
all.
I get that
And
part,
we'll figure,
but-
we'll refine that down to a 6x5 plaque.
We'll
that-
make them tasteful and, uniform.
There's not going to be anything such as tasteful. It's going to be, and who's going to monitor those signs? That's another issue.
Well, I mean, we could even make it part of the application process, that a sign will, that will be provided.
Yeah, something that small,
that's all we
like Chip
need.
is saying,
Yeah.
that somebody specifically looking for it. Okay, something small like that,
Right.
I get it.
So otherwise, somebody.
Yeah, like the
come
one
in with a
Shar has,
4x4.
small.
Put-
It's not like a
Yeah, something small would be.
billboard or anything.
I was
I
saying,
don't think we need to know it at this time. I mean,
No,
that's part of the future.
we'll develop that. We've got 2 months.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so
Next.
the definition section, through the reading, it's been offenses, violations, complaints. What's a violation? What's an offense? What's a complaint? I think that would be, if you have an offense, is that considered a violation? But yet you guys said, no, that's a complaint. But to me, that's kind of a violation. If somebody's going to call in and every weekend say noise, 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 when does it become a violation and not a
So
complaint?
it becomes a violation after the operator doesn't perform.
So I'm just saying, maybe we should put
That's
it
my
in the
impression of it.
definitions. What's a violation? What's an offense? What's a complaint?
Okay.
Just to throwing it out.
I
Just
would
to
look
help you
at
out,
it-
Cheryl,
Pardon?
like we said earlier, if there's an issue, they have to call the property manager. If the property manager doesn't respond, nothing happens, that's a violation when they call the city.
So should that be in here?
It's in
It
here.
is in here.
It is
Oh,
in
okay, sorry.
Yep.
I just will look at it in the definition section. And just for staff purposes, according to the ordinance, any of the locations that have a dollar amount or even a percentage, so 1% because it's a state requirement, it would be, in my opinion, nice to put in according to a state fees instead of 1%. So when they change it, you're not going through this and having to change the ordinance because now it's 1.5. So then it would be in a fee schedule instead of within the ordinance. And then you would just change and the same with any of these other that are $1,000 for this and this, whatever, according to the city fee schedule, which you already have used in here a few times. So. What? Yeah, so then, yep, so that would be a fee schedule item instead. So again, I don't know, I wasn't in on all the conversations.
But that, it doesn't require an ordinance change, that just acquires an adjustment to the fee schedule.
Right, as long as it's not, the dollar amount isn't in the ordinance, that's what I'm saying. Instead of putting the dollar amount in there like he has highlighted, that was easy for the reading to have it say instead of according to the city's fee schedule, which some of them already say that here.
Okay.
Okay. All right, hit the signs already. And somebody mentioned something about the parking that ours says 4. This is an ordinance for the STR. You can have any number you want. It doesn't say according to, the other ordinance. This is a STR ordinance difference. Again, these are just my opinions. The storage containers for garbage, I think you mentioned that to add that sentence in, would there be some location added as well, that you want it, not just on the street? And, I don't know.
Chip, you added
So-
a line.
Right. I'm just saying, would you want to add a location as well?
Well, that's up to the garbage collection. I mean, it's got to be where they could grab it.
Right, but you're saying it can be out on the street for 2 days.
Right.
Where do they store it otherwise?
Out of sight,
Just
in their bedroom.
2 car lengths away from the street? I mean,
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be stored out of sight, it says earlier on, so. I mean, if you want to add chip, restored, must be removed and,
It should just be probably
It
out of the
just
road
says
right
it's-
away is what should be on there, because if you start telling people they gotta have garbage cans out of sight, that's gonna probably include everybody in this whole city. So you can't be different towards the rentals, I don't think, than you can everyone else.
And I think what you're maybe thinking, it says that the garbage it has to be in an enclosed container.
Yes. Okay.
The garbage itself,
yeah.
not the container itself.
Because we see a lot of those
I'm just mentioning
overflowing
some of these
all the time.
because this is what we hear, we've gotten these complaints. So I don't want to look at the neighbor's trash cans sitting there. I realize you said already 2 on the street, but where are you going to put them? Again, I'm just throwing it out. The advertising, I know it was mentioned, who's going to watch the advertising? And then you said, well, somebody will go out when there's a complaint. Who goes out with a complaint for advertising? It's not the police departments, who. So again,
when it comes to our
just
attention, there's an issue, I'll look at it. Whoever will look at it.
So
document it.
I'm just throwing that out if that's something you're assigning duties for. And that already did. Okay, that was just a few things.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else have anything? Tim, come on up.
Tim Berg, 12038 Harbor Lane. Start off with thanking Chip for taking the time to put this together in short notice. I had a chance to read through it, and it's got pretty much all the same verbiage that I've seen in my time researching these things. So I think there's been a lot of good questions. I also think there's a lot of overthinking. So at the resort, I'm inspected every year by 2 different people from the Minnesota Department of Health. I have somebody come and they take samples of my water from 3 different areas. God bless them. It's different people for the most part every year, but it's not an elaborate thing. And I get something in my email that says I've passed one time since I've been at the resort since 2012 that they have to come back and retest. That said, I have another gentleman who comes in the fall and he inspects my buildings. And it's usually a different gentleman every time.
Inspects your what?
My cabins.
Oh.
He walks the grounds, he walks through the cabins. He's not a rocket scientist. I can assure you that he's also not a certified building inspector. To answer your question.
That's a state mandated guy?
Yeah.
Comes from the
Yeah,
state.
and it's the last couple of times have been a really young kid. Super nice, but I can guarantee you he's not a building inspector. I've been docked before when I'm looking at page 5, the items inspected. I've been docked for some broken windows in the past. I have a year to fix those windows. I've been docked for having fire extinguishers this last year. I have until basically next fall to fix it, but for my own interest, it's best that I get them replaced before I open up. We're talking about the septic and solid waste. Again, a lot of good questions. It's almost, this is the same verbiage I've seen in so many different short-term rental ordinances. At the resort, we get ours inspected basically every 3 years, but that's only because I'm doing projects. And if I want to get a permit, I have to have my septic inspected every 3 years. Let's see here. As far as advertising, if we see that somebody's advertising on our website, for more capacity than they're allowed to, that's something that with this website, we're giving people the tools to do a screenshot, and that's a violation. It's kind of written out later in this ordinances. They can just email that to the city, and then that's a violation. They clearly are advertising for more than what they're able to, and that's what the beauty of this website, one of the beauties of the website is giving residents the tools to help make sure that these short-term rentals stay within the guidelines. Initial complaints here, when it comes to noise, I can tell you at the resort it happens about twice a year. I get a phone call, I get waken out of bed about midnight or 1 o'clock. I go down, I hang out a little bit, I squash it. But that happens about twice a year at our resort. I'm sure it happens more often at some of these other properties. I've listened to some people get really testy over the 4th of July and the fireworks. I hold my breath over the 4th of July. We have people who light fireworks. I mean, what am I going to do? I just hope that they're done quick. So that happens all over this area. I don't know how we can curb that. With that said, I feel like there's a lot of overthinking, and I want to make sure that we don't make this so difficult that we lose short-term rentals in this area, because with all the losses of the resorts, we really need these guys to be operational. And this is just a tool that gives neighbors and residences who live up here full-time to help us regulate and make sure that everybody stays within the ordinance.
Is
But-
there anything in here that you consider to be too difficult, or that, like, would impede the,
I agree. I don't want to see a 3-year fine if somebody gets, but let's be honest, the violation, those are stiff penalties. And if you have put the money in a short-term rental, you don't want that. And I think there's a lot of good residents that live up here full-time who can manage these properties. And I feel very strongly after talking with a lot of other city staff that they said, once you get this thing in place, it literally kind of runs itself. So I just, again, I'll ask you to please have a faith to take the leap and that this will work out. So
It
thank you.
doesn't set anything in stone either. Everything can
Right.
be adjusted, we can flow with it.
Yeah.
We just need to figure it out, and eventually, and it might take a few years, but get it figured out. And
We can.
Like Tim said, it'll run itself.
It will, and that's, so like what we talked about last week, Marcia, you missed it, but we talked about having a leap of faith, and we wanted to get this done to see if we could get something in place by March 1st, was kind of where we landed. Because we needed to tell Crow Wing County by the end of this month, which I don't know if it's tomorrow or the next day. But you just have to look at this and think, is this something that we can have a city attorney look it over? It's very similar to a lot of other cities, so I don't think that he's gonna have a whole lot of issue with it. Is it something that you could have in place by the end of January if we're gonna be realistic? I'm not gonna say let's have this in place in 2 weeks, but if you feel strongly that you could do this by the end of January, we can collect starting the 1st of March, hopefully have a website up and developed. That's where we're at.
Did anybody go to the commissioner board or the county board meeting yesterday?
Yesterday?
Yes.
I did not.
Okay, so I don't think we can cancel at any time in the middle of having them do it. So it's either 1 year you go or you don't go for
we
the
either have
next
to
year.
start taking licenses in January,
Or you
Or we
don't.
can't take any
Till
until next year.
2025.
Okay.
Yep.
Because they didn't figure out how, once people pay their license, it'll be an accounting nightmare of how to distribute it back to the city or how to make their percentage or whatever of the days RV covered by the county.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what are you suggesting then?
Yeah, that's the question, Chip, is can we have this website up and do it by the 1st of
So,
January?
this is my suggestion. I would consider Marcia's discussion for the, having some type of life safety inspection to get that started, because that's important. However, to create this website and the links, there's no way we can get it done in a month.
Do we even have a cost, what this is?
No, I'm still.
An idea, I mean.
You assigned me this last week, and this
I
is
understand.
Thanksgiving, so I think I did pretty well.
So it's not a
So
budgeted
I have
item.
no numbers for you. I have nothing in place. Like I said, I'm still meeting with people this week via Teams. I'd really like to have some, work with Tim and a couple other people and actually have a schedule of how all this is coming, so it's in place. So you can actually vote on it in like September and have it all ready, so everybody in the city, or even July or August, so everybody in the city knows we're switching. So all the documents are up and ready to go. So by 2025, we're full go running. The part with the inspections, I can create it so you have to get them within a year. So that actually gets us a head start on 2025. So a lot of these will already be inspected before we get into 2025 in the full ordinance. That's my personal opinion, just because I'd like to have the website work flawlessly. And we have a lot of people that we need to work. The county uses the same, what is it, Muni Revs that all the other cities use throughout the country for their short-term rental licensing.
Can we implement this ordinance even though we're not collecting licenses?
Yes.
Well, you'd have to do a start date, you have to change the start date, you have to have the attorney look at it,
Right. But I mean, once that's looked at, we can
Yeah.
have our own separate ordinance. even
Is
though we're not
implementing it in
collecting-
2025, or whatever, yeah, that's my opinion, you have to create that nucleus of how it's gonna run. You have to have a motor before it's gonna be going down the road.
Yeah.
So I think it takes time to create that and have it so it's flawless, and everybody has it designated, and if we have to create, or direct people to do certain things, I just don't think we can just throw it out there and start. And I agree with Tim, I want it to start now, but we kind of dragged our feet again this year in 2023. So, but
Next year is another election cycle.
yeah, but you'll have it all done before then.
For that?
Yeah.
It'll be all voted in before that election cycle.
Because I think you have to go through public hearing with this as well, so, you know, this is,
No, you don't.
yeah, I think so. No?
I don't think so.
They'll give us a lot of time to really fine tune a lot of things.
But I
I
think-
mean, right down to having uniform signs made like we were talking about to put it in front and back and where they're gonna be and just kind of get.
Is there any of that we could implement sooner or no?
Yeah, that, I mean, well, no, not according to the ordinance,
Either
but
taking their ordinance or you can't do half and half.
But people can
'Cause we're
start
not gonna
getting
get any
ready
money,
for it.
because if you're going with the county, unless you make a new ordinance, you're gonna charge for this and charge for that. But why not just get the wheel perfectly round before we implement it?
Right.
But I would
I
like
mean,
today to actually put a time schedule. If you approve this ordinance, you gotta do that for, I mean, wanna move forward on this. And if you do so, I think you need to put a schedule together right now for 2024, so we know exactly when we're meeting and what the deadlines are, so if you are gonna move forward with this, it's done. Not, oh, we'll talk about it, table it till next month. Because we've been talking about this forever, and we need to get it done.
It'll also give these VRBO, these STR owners, time to start getting compliant with, if they know what's coming, then they can start, you know, if it's water meters or whatever, they'll give them time, because otherwise if we implement right away,
Right.
Well,
all of a
can-
sudden it's gonna be, we're gonna have to give them, you know, some time to get compliant anyway.
You think Alex can look this over before our next council meeting, and then we could hopefully approve it at that point,
Alex or someone else?
or someone else?
Well,
Yeah.
you all should talk about it right now, though, if you even want Alex to look
Yeah.
at it.
Yes.
So I would say, and I'm not making a motion, but I would say I'd make a motion approved, or based on approval of changes that we have discussed, sewer changes that Peter's gonna look into. I guess, does the council have an appetite to move forward with this? I think that's what we're looking for, right?
I have an appetite to move forward, like on a schedule, what Chip talked about, and let him draw in the 2 or 3 people that he feels he needs to get this put in place, and have it progress through 2024 to be effective on July, or January 1st of 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're in a position to approve this specific ordinance because of the changes that have made. I think, you know,
And will be made before we approve it.
that it needs to go through another reiteration
Right.
and legal review. And then we need to come up with a schedule, an implementation schedule for
Yeah,
the
I
next
mean,
12
Chip, if you come up with a
months.
schedule, we'll
It's us.
make it work, yeah.
We need to come up with a schedule.
Well, maybe in conjunction with Chip, I mean, because you,
We have a motion and a second.
But just to add the schedule to that motion, I mean, I would say to have this done and approved by August 1st.
I will agree to add that to my motion.
Can you restate your motion, please?
You did it.
Thank you. I make a motion that Chip proceed, huh? Proceed, the staff progress forward with this project and with this ordinance through the calendar year of 2024, so we can approve it in August of 2024 for 2025. What did I miss?
I'll second that, but approve this ordinance with revisions. Yeah.
We're
And a
not
schedule.
approving the ordinance.
Not today.
Just, no, we're not today.
Okay, I'm
Just,
you made it sound like we were approving it. We're not.
Aaron said approval of this ordinance
You're-
with revisions.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We
So we got a
do,
motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
we do need a motion to adopt the county ordinance for 24 with life safety, but I don't have anything in place for that. So I'd have to write something new, and then it probably won't be in effect till,
It won't take effect till at least July.
well, you could probably do it for, yeah, June or July. At least it'll give a head start on.
Okay.
for the
So
following.
you're,
I want
say
the
that
life
again.
sa-
Are you adding to the county's ordinance? which is, are you adding it to the county ordinance? We
Not at
can't
this-
do that.
Not at this time.
So do we need
Can't do
to adopt the county's changes to their ordinance? Because we need to have an exact ordinance to match theirs, correct, Pete? Right. Did they approve
Yes.
changes to their ordinance? Then
Yes,
we
they
need
did.
to adopt what they changed.
Put it on the agenda.
How many motions do we need to address
Well, we already
now?
have a motion and a second, so should we vote on that first?
You did vote on it.
We need to make a motion that we're going to continue with the county ordinance and adopt their current standards.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so we'll adopt the county ordinance and continue with the county through the calendar year of 2024. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
But shouldn't we be doing that at the regular meeting? I don't know.
Well, that was the point of this meeting, I think. Yeah.
We can do it again. Okay. All in favor?
We're just continuing with what we're doing.
Yeah, yes.
We're reaffirming that we're,
Yeah.
okay.
So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
However, with the life safety, I'm going to come back to you so we can get that in place prior to, yeah.
But we don't have to make a motion on
No,
that today.
I'll come back
Thank
to you with a really short,
And staff will notify county that we're continuing with them,
Perfect.
correct?
Please do.
Do we need a motion for that?
That motion, wasn't it? Yep.
Yeah. That was the intent, yeah.
Okay, Jackson, make your motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
appreciate the input